June 2012 has served as Chief Executive of the Yes Scotland campaign. He was born in Scotland and has served at a high level in broadcasting as Director of Broadcasting STV, Head of News and Current Affairs at both STV and BBC Scotland. He has chaired the Broadcasting Commission in 2007 to 8 and the Scottish Digital Network Panel. He is not a member of any political party and has not previously been involved with any political campaign. So over to, please welcome Mr. Jenkins.
What Jean said in her introduction there was very, very important in terms of the nature of this referendum, the nature of the campaign, in particular the nature of the Yes Scotland campaign. This is not about party politics. This is a unique event. It's not about who you normally vote for, who you like or don't like among the current crop of Scottish politicians. We would all have our views on that. It is about the future of our country, what's the right direction for Scotland to take.
Mr. Malcolm Cunning, Glasgow councillor, who was born in Scotland. Formerly a teacher who moved on to training and worked at a number of universities as manager of student services. He is currently councillor for Lynn Ward on the south side of the city and executive member for health and social care. He is also the Veterans Champion for the City Council. Please welcome Mr. Cunning. Thank you.
And thank you for the invitation. It is really good to see so many people interested in what is, and I think it's one area where Blair and I would entirely agree, the most important decision that we will make for generations.
If the panel could tell me, EU legislation for pensions, am I right in thinking that pensions, if they're in one country, cannot be diverted to another country, because I have 2 occupational pensions paid from England? Thank you.
The issue about pensions which are cross-border schemes, which operate across more than one territory, is that there was a European provision that because pension schemes, private pension schemes, had run up substantial deficits in terms of their income and their obligations. But the provision was that if you were going to operate in more than one country, then each of those countries, they had to be fully funded within that territory. Countries where this happened have been given periods of grace, periods of time where you can come up with a timescale by which you're going to top up your fund to where your assets meet your liabilities. The important point to make is this: no, the deficit or the problem of any private pension fund doesn't change at all with independence. It's not like there's no more deficit at all, there's no more problem with any pension fund. It's just that you have to have an accelerated process by which you can demonstrate how you're going to meet your obligations. However, as recently as yesterday, it's been reported that the European Union is reviewing this because they appreciate and understand that this is not a sensible thing to do. The European Union has no interest whatsoever. I mean, this is where Malcolm, I think, was hyping things somewhat. The European Union has no interest in making any pension fund go bust and would not do anything that would produce that consequence. So what they're looking at now, and this has been very well reported within the industry, is changing that requirement and they're making sure that there is no pressure put on pension funds to come up with funding to meet their liabilities at a much faster rate than they would do otherwise.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Cunning.
Okay. We are supposedly assured that this will all be okay on the night. The only way to guarantee there is not a problem with your pension is to stay as part of the United Kingdom and not raise the possibility that your pension is going to be split. The Institute of Chartered Accountants for Scotland have said quite clearly, and I quote, if Scotland became an independent country, there would be significant cross-border issues for schemes which currently operate UK-wide. Dealing with underfunding would have a major cost and cash flow implication for employers with underfunded cross-border schemes. Could this result in pension schemes being split into Scottish schemes and rest UK schemes? Is there a mechanism for splitting schemes? And if so, what are the risks to scheme members of doing so?
Helen McFarland, Health Living Group. My question again is about pensions. If, as an independent Scotland, we are related to the pound, but not tied in, the pound would then become something like the Irish punt. What would happen to my pension then? Would my pension be increased?
The ICAS paper, the tax account paper which Martin's referring to, precedes the change in the European view of this that I was talking about. It's also, I think, it's also worth saying that the only way to get a resolution from the European Union on exactly how they view cross-border pensions within Great Britain after a yes vote by people of Scotland would be formally to get advice from the European Union on the view of the UK.
Daphne Mackay from Clydebank Seniors Forum. What is going to happen to the armed services? Will Scotland still have defence protection?
And we would be spending more money on our defences in Scotland than is currently spent on our behalf. So there will not be job losses in defence in Scotland. There will be an increased number of people involved in the defence forces in independent Scotland from what we have right now. And the position with the Faslane base is that the current Scottish Government, and I think it makes sense, with respect to and I don't believe either of us would do anything other than have the base for the joint defence forces at Faslane. So you maintain that facility, and I think the total number of jobs in the three branches of the armed services in Scotland would rise after the Premier.
Mr Jenkins.
Mr Cunning.
Period. There would have to be some attempt to say to current serving military personnel, do you want to transfer to the new organisation that we're busy setting up, and we don't quite know what it's going to be yet, and what equipment it's going to have. Do you want to transfer to that, or do you want to stay where you are? In terms of the immediate needs for some sort of defence force, I do think there is a strong possibility that Scotland would, for a period of time at least, be particularly short of highly experienced personnel. I expect many of the senior ones, both commissioned and non-commissioned officers, would prefer to stay with the remaining UK Army, Navy or Air Force.
Well, the question comes in from Norman Lancaster, your head Seniors Forum. What will happen regarding border controls? Will we be able to walk in and out without passports?
It will slightly depend on some of the negotiations, and particularly it will depend on the negotiations with the European Union and the conditions under which Scotland gets into the European Union, if at all. I happen to think personally that an independent Scotland, one way or another, will be a member of the European Union. And if we were required to be part of the Schengen Agreement, particularly, that could lead to some level of control at the borders between the remainder of the United Kingdom, basically England in terms of where we've got a border, and Scotland. That is a possibility. If we're both members of the European Union, it would be more likely that it would be the same as the border between the north of Ireland and southern Ireland, in truth.
Right, I was delighted to get the opportunity to come and listen to the speakers, because it is something that we just don't know, and I did hear someone saying he was a floating floater, and I'm a floating floater's floater. But I really do enjoy the two speeches. One of them was, to my opinion, the yes vote was very positive and encouraging, and unfortunately I hear the here together is a bit like stay where we are, a bit of don't get out your comfort zone, and a bit kind of negative about the reason he went away from politics, because he was with other students who were depressed and oppression. We're not looking for independence because we're oppressed, we're looking at it because we want a good vision for our future.
Enjoyed both speakers, and They've not changed their opinion?
No, we haven't had our minds changed. All three of us voted as we came in, and all three of us has just voted again with the same decision.